Well, it is getting ever so close for the next big update, and so it's around about this time where majority of us, or practically everyone, should really be preparing now in preparations for not only the big update to come, but obviously with this current update or this current month, there's a lot of things scheduled in terms of the amount of characters we're getting, new weapon, guilds, etc. Right, there's a lot going to be happening, so it's best to get ahead of the game and start saving. Now, I did go over the developer notes overall, multiple ones, of course, just to kind of get a good idea on what we kind of want to prepare for. So, obviously, when it comes to the artifacts and them introducing the events, salvaging is going to be buffed up to the point where, realistically, at this current moment of time, you really want to be saving all your or basically all your artifacts. So as you guys can see, I'm near enough full. I'm always making a little bit of room so that way I can keep farming the dungeons. But as you guys can see, I am ready to get rid of a lot of artifacts, and I mean a lot. Right, I'm practically at full here. You guys have no idea how desperately I am in needing to get rid of a lot of some of these artifacts that I don't even need because they've got such terrible stats. But yeah. Make sure to save them because it's all going to be coming into play in terms of gaining gold and enhancement chips tier 1 and tier 2. So effectively this will also help you out even further more on, because obviously you got to remember, in terms of the newer artifacts coming at a higher level, this is going to be huge in helping us to progress the more well, the high level new artifacts, of course. So make sure that when you are farming, keep as much as you can. It's gonna get annoying, like how it is right here for me, because every day I'm having to do the dungeons and then obviously delete the new artifacts that I've gotten. But in the next update, trust me, it's gonna help you out tremendously with all the resources that you actually get from it. Same thing with weapons. Make sure you're keeping your weapons. Don't bother salvaging your weapons again. It's gonna help us out in the long run, especially in the SRs. Keep all of them. So obviously I'm racking up my dupes. So obviously right now, just keep all the artifacts, keep all the weapons, wait until the next this current update coming in about 5 days time, of course. Another thing to talk about is going to be the elixirs, which are pretty vital too, and I don't typically spend them as freely as I've seen others do. As you guys can see right here with these elixirs, as you guys can see, I try my best to even to keep above the 3-digit mark. So I mean, right now with my characters, I mean, I can quite easily go about spending it, but with going with the upgrade, if I don't need it, because I mean at times, I mean it's not exactly that big of a jump. I mean that's a decent amount of jump, but yeah, once they're at, I would say go in a +1. So go in tier 3 +1. I think that's kind of, for me, that's kind of like the bar. But obviously these are very hard to come by, there's no denying that, and especially the tier 2. Tier 3 is really only for the broken characters. You don't tend to spend these out willy-nilly to every character. These are only for the broken characters, but tier 2 is typically where we stop out with the elixirs. But even with the tier 2s, they are very hard to come by. So as you guys can see with myself, I'm very picky on the amount I spend, and because the way I work is, if I spend the elixir 2, I'm not going to keep on spending it. I'm going to wait until I make back to what I've spent, so that way I'm always at a good amount, as you guys can see, in preparations for whoever the next character is going to be. Because as it stands with Solo Leveling Rise, you know, it's you know, and especially with how these types of games work, you know, the next character is always going to be a bit more better as time goes on, because the power level and the power creeping will always happen, right? It'll always increase one after another, so make sure you've got the materials and resources ready for that. Obviously Red Gate, or doing the gates missions, I mean that's how realistic you're going to go about getting them. But obviously do make sure that with your coins, these are one of the materials that are I instantly purchase, so it is worth to pick up, most definitely. This is one of the most vital ones, which I would say and suggest you really kind of pick up on. So make sure you've got your elixirs ready to rock and roll in terms of progressing with your characters. Now another thing which I want to talk about, job change. So as we all are aware, and as we've spoken about the levels, obviously as I've mentioned at the beginning of the video, make sure that you've got your story missions ready, so that way you can level up more easier and more quicker, right, with the story missions, if you've saved any. But with the job change always comes a Rune, a new skill, and obviously I've spoken about it beforehand, but as it currently stands right now with the way they've introduced the most recent new Rune, being the armor break, we know how amazing of a Rune this is across the board. With every single variant, we know how amazing this Rune is. And so with the next Rune, let's be real, it could be something amazing, something crazy, who knows. As it stands, they've done a perfect job with the previous one, so I'm gonna give it to the developers and say we might be onto something crazy with this next Rune. And so once again, you want to be prepared for that Rune. And so I'm hoping you guys have been doing this. Save your fragment. I've only just started, so I've got, well, not exactly just started, but you know, I've got 462 right now. But save your fragments, because this is going to be the way to go about getting the rare version of it, the heroic version of it, and then obviously as we're using fragment, if we get dupes, then in due time, at a later time, we could then focus on it potentially being a legendary status. But once we get the new Rune, this is going to be the way on how we can go about getting it. And now with the way they did it beforehand, I believe it was the fire element that was given through doing logins, if I can remember correctly, or it was given instantly. It was one or the other, but the remaining versions of them, you had to get it through the fusion. So with that being said, and a new job chamber is coming about, and a new skill is guaranteed to come about with it, make sure that your ruins are, or make sure you, sorry, your fragments are ready. Say that you've got a decent amount to give you a fighting chance to potentially pull one variant or two of it, of course. So make sure that as of right now, I mean, well, we've got 5 days, so you've got a good amount of times to start saving it by doing the gates, etc. Of course, again, you can go about doing it and getting it from the celebration shop, but gates is where we get the most. Also, don't forget that on a weekly basis, so if you've done it recently, because it just reset, Battlefield of Time with the challenge. So again, this is a really good way to go about actually getting a good amount of fragments. Is it on here? Yeah. So yeah, yeah. So and I believe the achievement rewards too. Yeah, 5, 10, 20, 25. Yeah. So you can really kind of accumulate. Also, there are some elixirs, tier 2s here. So make sure that you're always doing your best to complete the weekly Battlefield of Time challenge, of course. Now, I've done videos in the past about this. I was kind of wrong because I thought the Cerberus was going to be releasing today, but no, they're saving. They're basically saving every piece of content for the the current upcoming big update. And so yes, the Cerberus is going to be releasing then. We will get news about him on the 29th live stream, of course. So when it comes to the Cerberus, as I've kind of mentioned, get your traces. I mean, as it stands right now, yeah, as you guys can see, I have been saving. I said it when I said it, and when it comes to my Cerby, I'm going all out. So make sure that you have been saving your Cerberus, of course, or the traces, sorry. Obviously, I've done a video on it a while back, once the Battlefield of Time was still available, but it's all done and dusted. This was kind of like your last opportunity to get a great deal amount of traces. But I will admit, whilst that was in its calculation period, of course, obviously, as it stands right now, gates is your remaining options on getting traces. So hopefully RNG is in your side. Oh, I should have actually mentioned this when I was talking about artifacts, of course. Now, obviously, by salvaging your artifacts, we do get the weapon enhancement chips, of course, but as it stands, I mean, again, I've spoken about it beforehand, but since we're doing a video talking about on what you guys need to do to kind of prepare for everything, don't bother working on artifacts right now. There is absolutely no reason to. As it stands, do I have any? Oh my god, where is it? Ah, there we go. Yeah, so save them. Don't bother wasting them. Now is not the time. We've got higher level coming in, and we're gonna need every bit of it. So, and with that being said, actually, I would also suggest this. If you head over to the shop, this is gonna be this might save some of you guys actually, because it has saved me in the past. When it comes to the mana crystals, always pick up the advanced mana crystals, so that way you can head over to the crafting side of it. And yeah, if you are in desperate need of the tier 2 version of it, you can always go about crafting. So this has saved me a lot of times in terms of when I'm needing chip 2's enhancements, even though we'll be able to get a lot through the salvaging potentially, and of course you can get a decent amount through the gates missions down here, of course. It's just nice to have a plan B ready if you are in need of some more enhancement chips, of course. And through that, of course, yeah, doing the dispatch mining missions, of course. Yeah, this does help you out tremendously. Same with like the skills again. This is a bit of a lifesaver in terms of getting these resources, I will say. Always make sure you've got advanced mana crystals, because this is a plan B that will save your ass when it comes to needing these materials to progress with your characters a lot further more on, of course. So I don't think I've missed anything out. If I have, just drop it down in the comments to let others know what else they need to be saving on for. But I think for the most part, with what I've spoken about and what I've mentioned, I think that's kind of majority of what you need to be catering to in preparations for the next big update. So yeah, that's everything.